I'm I am excited about this, but it is a difficult subject. So it's not like when I regularly do my distant healings and feel, it's all about the angels and it's all gorgeous. This is a little bit of a more tricky subject. As anyone who is here, obviously you're here because you suffered with some kind of narcissistic abuse, and it's a very difficult situation to be in. I'm sure many of you know that I have personally experienced it, and it's affected my life quite dramatically. But I have got over that, through that storm, and now be doing what I do as a healer, an energy worker, and a yoga teacher, the retreats, everything. It's all come together to me really feeling that now I just want to pass back some of the healing that I've received over the last year, particularly. And I've had some incredible healing, some energy healing, and a lot of clearing from some amazing healers and teachers that have really helped me. And I feel like I've learned so much about dark energy and about narcissism. I'm not a psychotherapist, I don't profess to be. There will be a disclaimer about that in a minute, because I think it's really important that we fully process this. But I just feel now is my time to start to turn what happened to me around and start to reflect it back out to you in a way that hopefully will help you. So this is for anyone who has suffered any kind of narcissistic abuse. It is very common in relationship. Well, it's most common in relationships, romantically. That's how we tend to go through it, but not always. I've got lots of clients who have family members, lots of clients who have, unfortunately, bosses, colleagues, friends. It can happen anywhere. And narcissism is a serious mental health issue. Lots of people have narcissistic traits, and that is very different from having narcissistic personality disorder. That's very serious. And if you meet someone who has that, what happens to you through that connection with them is likely to also be very serious. And only a psychotherapist can diagnose someone as a narcissist. So we need to be careful not to kind of label people that, because it's kind of used as well as a bit of a derogatory way of labeling people who perhaps may have narcissistic traits, which is very different. So what we're going to do tonight is I've been channeling incredibly long meditation for about 2 days. I was up till about 1 a.m. last night because it was coming through, and I was just writing, writing it all down. And it's very, very different. If you attend my meditations normally, this is very different. It's kind of, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of going through, and it feels like today it started to slow down, the information slowed down, and it feels like they have literally covered pretty much every possible effect that a victim of narcissism may have suffered. And what we're doing is we're going very, very deep here. So this is about your karma. This is about your karmic energy field. This is also, we'll deal with some of the psychological effects that happen on the surface level, like the shame, the guilt, the blame, and the everything around that release that needs releasing. But we're also going to go very, very deep into some of the possible past life issues that might have caused you to end up having to have this narcissistic connection. The other thing that's really important is that many of you here, I'm sure, because I know you through work and clients and Reiki students and yogis, a lot of you are light workers, a lot of you are starseeds. You're here in order to bring in lights to transform and help the planet transition through the darkness that we've been through, we've been in for many thousands of years. And so these experiences with narcissists, although of course incredibly difficult, and no one would wish it on anybody, it's hard to think that anyone would choose this as a soul, but there is a great deal of growth within it once you're through. When you're in, and if any of you are currently in it, dealing with it, it's very hard to see that. I know when I couldn't see that at all, and people were saying to me, oh, it's going to be so great. I was like, are you kidding? That's like, I cannot think that way yet, but now I am through. and recovered pretty much, 95%, I would say, because of absolutely throwing everything I possibly could at my recovery the last year. Um, there has been a great deal of growth and evolution for me spiritually. I've learned a lot, and I've also learned a lot about, as I said, I've learned a lot about darkness, and I've learned a lot about how to release it. And I'm now feeling, I'm getting huge downloads, techniques, tools given to me on how to release darkness. And this meditation, there will be a lot of talking, but there'll also be some times when I go quiet, and I'll also be turning my camera off, because some of the techniques, if you like, that I've been given, they're not something that I want to share with the world. So I'll be doing that, with the camera off from time to time. So you'll have your eyes closed, you won't know, but if you were to watch the replay, that explains why that's happening. So it's very, very exciting, because I feel that these codes and tools and knowledge and wisdom that myself, and I'm sure many other people around the world, are getting, are actually tools that we probably have had on Earth over the millions of years that we've been here, but have been lost, but they're now coming back. And it feels like we've now got a few thousand years of complete mess to sort of clean up, really, in healing and clearing our karma, releasing our trauma, and trying to rid the earth of this darkness. There's two phrases that I'm going to be using in this meditation that some of you will probably have heard of, but some not. I hadn't until I started to have psychotherapy for dealing with narcissistic abuse. One is a flying monkey. So a flying monkey is a way to describe the people that the narcissist will use to hurt you indirectly. So it comes from the film The Wizard of Oz, and it was the Wicked Witch of the, whichever one it is, I can't remember which one it was, but the Wicked Witch, she sends out her monkeys, do you remember? And they go and try and chase the gang. That's the description of it. So she sits back. A narcissist can often sit back and enjoy sending out these flying monkeys, and they can be your friends, your colleagues, your family, their friends, colleagues, family, can be anyone. It's indiscriminate. And they're often what's called the favorites. So a narcissist can have a very small group, or maybe just one or two people, of favorites who cannot see through, cannot see that the narcissist is a narcissist, and will quite happily go along with acting as a flying monkey. And that can be very hurtful and painful. The other word is enabler is similar. Enabler is similar. You'll hear that used as well. Another word which you might have heard of is an Agent Smith. I don't know if you've heard of Agent Smith. It's from the film The Matrix, and it's used to describe the way that dark forces on the planet that are trying to, however you want to describe them, there's light and dark energy. Agent Smiths often, they're like people who will come into your life on purpose to take you away from being of service and being of working with light. So it could be a partner who will come in, love bomb you, and then try to destroy you and ruin you in order for you. They're not doing it, but the dark energy that's using them to try and stop you from doing your work, from working with light. That the Agent Smiths can come in many forms, any sort of person really who is capable of knocking you off your path. And that's really important to be aware of Agent Smiths when you're on a spiritual path, when you're working with light, because they come and you can feel it, because you can have a sense that they're trying to steer you away. So those are two words that you might not have heard of that I just wanted to share with you. So before we get completely comfortable, I just want to talk you through about how, many of you are probably empaths, and this abuse, wherever it's come from, is likely to have done some pretty serious damage to you psychologically. Victims of narcissism can carry a lot of self-blame and shame. They tend to lack strong boundaries. They tend to want to rescue other people, and they tend to stay loyal despite mistreatment. They can be very susceptible to taking on and blaming themselves for other people's abuse, making excuses for them. Oh, but she's had a really hard childhood, or or it's really difficult for them, and you sort of end up getting caught in that pattern, and not actually asking for accountability for the poor treatment of you. So that can be very, very common. So we're going to call on a beautiful divine feminine energy for tonight's healing, as well as the Lemurian energy that I always work with, and the Metatron energy, to activate a really deep soul healing, to try to release the imprint, the energetic imprint that any abuser might have left in your energy field, to transmute and cleanse any negativity, either in this life or in past lives. So that I hope that by the end of this meditation, you'll feel much lighter, you'll feel more able to move on with your relationships. And it's going to work well for anyone who needs to create strong boundaries, who needs to be able to listen more closely to red flags. You've probably heard of the word red flags. It's quite commonly used now in the dating sort of game, but it's not just for dating, it's for friendships, it's for colleagues, it's for all kind of situations where you kind of, do I get closer to this person? Do I pull back? That looks like a red flag. Let's wait. Let's be patient. That's boundaries, really. Just kind of like, taking time and making sure you've got your walls up strongly. Releasing any imprints of self-sacrifice, rescuing, and also releasing childhood trauma. But I invite you, and this is where I kind of get into the sort of disclaimer part of it, really, is that it's really vital that if you feel that you're suffering with any psychological effect from abuse, whether recent or in the past, it's really vital that you get help. I'm not going to pretend in any way that this meditation alone is going to be enough to release the very, very powerful and very damaging and harmful effects. I've had to have psychotherapy intensely for a year, as well as countless amounts of energy healing, massages, reflexologies, and everything else. Okay, but that on its own, I don't think it would have worked. And anyone who needs guidance on that, I can point you. This meditation isn't to bypass. It isn't to bypass your psychological issues. If you've been a victim of abuse, it's really important that you heal yourself properly, not only to feel better, but to not attract the same situation again. My first narcissistic relationship was my first husband when I was 25. I was with him for 7 years. And then I spent the next 19 years getting in and out of the same kind of pattern until now. So that's how long it can take. But I should say as well, and I will stop talking in a second, I will say as well that the light 19 years on from that first breakup in 2004 is so strong now that I think we can do everything quicker. I'm pretty sure if that happened again, I could get through it a lot quicker. And I'm sure that's why now it's why I had to have this healing, and for you, because it's all coming up. And the light is coming in so strongly and powerfully now that we can heal quickly. But you've got to do all the work. This is to help you align. This is to help you clear, transmute. And then it's up to you to do your shadow work and to get your psychological help with anything else that's going on. Okay, right. So let's get comfortable now.